warmer than up here.
8 degrees probably. Slower than maybe 10.
Hey, by the way, I saw your name in the four corners. That Colorado paper.
The free press?
The free press.
Oh, yeah, that's it. It is, yeah.
Just wanted to focus, guys. Junior four.
I read it, it's like, okay, good.
I have a lot of primers.
I love that paper, especially the crime report. Seriously,
Pretty interesting.
you gotta read the crime report.
Colorado Free Press.
Where's my
Colorado Free Press crime report. It is the best. Really. Whoever writes it takes a little bit of liberty and work for it. You have to tune out some bombs, swear words occasionally.
Where do you get it at? Oh, really?
What's that?
They want to take a
I love it's the crime report.
Where's it at?
They randomly called me on my phone. Oh, that's a good word. That's a question.
They came to that, meet the candidates night we did down in writing. They came and covered that too.
Oh, wow.
I think it's gonna work tonight, so everybody should be here.
Yeah, you here to discuss anything specific?
There's a fly on the wall. Yeah, it's not- I don't know what, I think it's more than 2 hours.
Who's doing the water conservancy plan?
That's Nate.
Is he coming in?
Yeah,
He will be here.
he's been here for the last 5 minutes. I think this is his office.
Okay. Is there a reason why the consider home occupation in your reading drive is just discussion?
It's actually supposed to be an action. I put a discussion on there.
This isn't a.
Did you electronic vote and ratify it?
Well, I think we'll call for a vote anyway, so we can get an answer.
Okay.
And I have motion language for it. I think I remember doing motion language on this. It'll be all right.
No, I better be honest. I did not.
I skipped it. I had to get a pen and copy on it. See what I'm educated there.
Need to open it up or anything. Super light.
This is your deck, so. Okay, I don't think it's here.
Well, I thought I put that on your motion language too. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get started. So welcome everyone out to Monticello City Council and Municipal Building Authority meeting. It's Tuesday, October 28th, 2014, 7 p.m. We're located at the Monticello City Office Building, 17 North 100 East. City councilman in attendance. We have Councilman Scott Frost, Councilman Monty Wells, Councilman Steve Duke, and Councilman George Rice. Councilman Rick Clark is not present. I didn't do the phone or anything yet. You gotta have this down on your own.
That recorder going, so.
So how's that recorded?
Hit the red button.
You need to power the slide button on the side, powers it on. And then the red button that says power up.
Cool. All right, perfect. It's approximately 7:02 p.m. and we'll go ahead and call to order the Municipal Building Authority meeting first, and then we'll go into City Council meeting later. So just have a couple items on the Municipal Building Authority meeting. Payment of bills, one in your packet. So Oliver, are you going to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
Does this show the
This just
adjustments we had to make because of the auditors, or?
No, this is essentially at the top, you'll see the 111, or the 4 the checking account for the NBA.
Okay.
So what this is, these are the checks that need to be written, or have been written, but we're waiting for reimbursement and paid for all the work done so far in the community.
So these have been written, but we haven't issued them yet because we're waiting to be reimbursed for them.
Right, and we don't have sufficient funds to vote that.
Okay, so we're waiting. We've got those, just waiting for reimbursement, and then we can send those checks
Correct,
out.
yeah, and I talked to CIP yesterday on something they're good to go, so. So that's essentially what the general ledger is right there, just showing you that the checks that need to be given.
That's separated up. That's what the auditor was talking about the other day, right? The way he broke that down.
With the MBA fund, specific organization fund, any MBA activities have to go through there. We can't write it out of the general fund or anything else. So all community center stuff, we have to put the money into the MBA and write a check out of the MBA. So.
So if all of this has got this on the MBA, is the rest of it, then the rest he talked about for switching money, getting things squared out,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna do with, is that being done, or is that what we're
Yeah,
doing
that's
today?
already done, and they all did it. They just-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll
Okay.
adjust that. And there's actually a couple of journal entries they still need to send me and email me, and then I'm gonna work with Forrest on getting those adjustments. They're pretty minor. Everything, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So basically, when we're looking at the motion is to approve the bills as paid, we're talking about those bills in that 1111 account, right?
Correct.
And these are all for the community center.
Right.
And so these all basically come out of CIB.
Yeah, so CIB money goes into the NBA, and from the NBA we pay. Because it's a contract with the NBA. So.
So the division of finance there, what is that, like the loan fees or something, or what is that? At the very top of
Yeah, check 40.
Yeah, 4377.
I believe so. I'm gonna check that right now. But. I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't have that right here.
So let me see if I understand this. So what we're doing in the MBA here, all of these, even the PTIF for the swimming pool. So this first entire section is what we're gonna be doing on the approve the bills, number one.
No, we're just basically approving those top, what, 6?
Just those?
Yeah, because all the rest of this is all past stuff. It's just showing you the
Yeah,
legend
that's just the general
from the
ledger.
history.
Oh,
But
okay.
that top stuff is just the new stuff.
So that 45, that payment on the Utah State Division of Finance, that must be on that MBA swimming pool.
Yes.
Is that our
Oh,
payment?
that's what it is.
That's why I was confused. It's like, I know that's not something.
Yeah, because it does show a
It
different
shows it
number, and I
down
was like,
below.
oh, yeah, there it is. So that's just the swimming pool loan.
That's our scheduled payment.
Oh, okay.
Because that was an NBA project. And that also means, just for your information, from here on out forever, the community center and the pool is an MBA project. So anything that happens financially, that always just goes to the MBA, even 15 years down the road.
And is this a yearly payment or?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Make a motion to approve the NBA bills as paid.
Second.
As projected to, I guess, then.
The motion was made by Councilman Scott Rossins and seconded by Councilman Stephen Duke to approve NBA bills as paid. And do we need to do roll call on this?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. So, second action item is consider NBA repayment schedule adjustment. I think we, all the auditors talked about this a little bit. Oliver, you want to just give us a sum up?
Yeah, okay, so if you look in your packet, that's number 2. Okay, so basically what happened is that the water fund, which is a separate fund from the NBA, borrowed a certain amount of money a few years back to pay off a high interest loan. And you're basically borrowing from yourself. And so this is just a schedule to repay the NBA fund. What happened was this past year, first, I don't know the reason, $20,000 was made instead of the budgeted $64,344. So if you see, I just propose that we pick up this year and just make our payments.
You mean by pick up this, just?
So if you look at the second part, so if we try and make up for everything this year, we'd be paying over $100,000 as opposed to what we should have been making. So that's just another $40,000 we weren't prepared for. So the proposal is just on this budget year we make the $64,344, and next year we bump up to the $86,144, and then after that pay off the remaining, which is $45,000. And so,
Extending it 1 year.
yes.
So the 20,000 was during budget year 2013,
Correct.
and then you're saying pay what was supposed to be in 2013 to 2014. Just,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, we already got that 20,000. We're just pumping it back, just because it's a big deal to kind of throw in an extra 40,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my thought. But that, yeah, it seems like that payment of 20,000 was made on the last day of the year, June 30th. So it's kind of, I don't know if it was super planned out.
Is this, all right, so I'm just looking back at that top graph for the original repayment schedule for water fund.
Okay.
On the right side there, it says savings in interest for the life of the loan. So by doing this loan, before that's how much we saved, in interest?
I actually don't know. The auditors gave that to me. I just put it on just because I wanted to be really exact on how they had it. They didn't really tell me what that related to. I assume that's maybe what we saved by doing that.
Yeah, by doing, it seems like I remember talking about that when we did this.
We saved the city a
Before I
lot
said,
of
but
money
we
by-
saved it because it was a high interest loan and we financed it ourselves to
Yeah.
pay it off. That was our, ended up being our savings,
Right.
which is a huge deal.
So that's gonna change now that we're kicking it another year, right?
Well, no, because there's no interest. I
Oh,
mean,
there's not, okay.
because it's basically saying you've got two checking accounts and you're just repaying one checking account from the other. You're not going to charge yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just one fund repaying another.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of us being, or there's actually a benefit of being in the situation because we're not really penalized. There's no interest. We just have to push it back a little bit, and we won't suffer through it.
Make a motion that we approve the municipal building authority repayment schedule as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion is made by Councilman Scott Frost and seconded by Councilman Lonnie Wells to approve the municipal building authority repayment schedule as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Yes, we just need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the municipal building authority meeting at 7:14.
Seconded.
Motion was made by Councilman Stephen Duke and seconded by Councilman Scott Frost to adjourn the municipal building authority meeting at 7:14. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Okay. So the meeting is adjourned, and now we'll call to order the Monticello City Council meeting at 7:14. Let's go ahead and start this with invocation if we have two. Okay. Great.
Father in heaven, as we approach thee this evening, we're grateful for the blessings which we enjoy, for the opportunity to live in this community. Grateful for the moisture that has fallen, and keep thy blessings upon us that we might receive that moisture that is needed. We pray for the members of our community and that thou bless and watch over them and all that they do. Seek for thy counsel and guidance this evening and the decisions and choices which we make, that they might be in accordance with thy mind and will. This we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, so let's move into the minutes from last time.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the Monticello City Council meeting held October 14th, 2014.
I'll second the motion.
The motion was made by Councilman Scott Frost and seconded by Councilman George Rice to approve the city council minutes for October 14, 2014. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Okay, move on to bills. I'll write a question on two.
Page two.
If he's just one bill.
Page two or?
No, page 5, down there at the bottom, 40876 for STO code products for green jackets.
Yeah.
From an economic grant expense, you know,
I don't, and I mean, I think there's gonna be a couple of questions this week, so I'm just playing catch up.
okay.
What's that? Check number.
40876. I remember seeing this before at the bottom of page 5 on previous bills, and I can't remember what it was. I think I asked that into.
Who's the count?
Economic grant expense.
A grant expense?
Yeah, economic grant expense.
25.
I think the economic development did a grant to golf course jackets or
That's what I'm
The
wondering.
golf, Tyler did come to the golf, Tyler did come to the golf. And that's the one would make most sense to me, because I don't think public works come.
What,
So it's
Like gray yellow.
what were they, like gifts or?
Awards for the, yeah, whoever won, they, you know, like they do the Masters.
Oh, and that's so they were. It was like an award for tournament. Yeah, so, okay.
I'm not positive on that, but it seems like I remember that.
Well, it makes sense. It would come out of economic development for.
And anything I don't know now, I'll write it down, and then I can.
Yeah, you want to check on that?
Email the council.
Check on that.
We did give Oliver, or we gave Tyler, we gave Tyler a grant to use on that youth golf tournament, and what he used it for, I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been last year.
Last budget year, but this budget year, nobody's come through with any grants.
And I think the way our budget works is it doesn't register until the, on this specific fund is until it's being.
So it's
registered.
Purchase something.
$1,500.
That might be for that youth.
Or maybe we just didn't get the invoice, I'll find out.
Yeah, find out what that is for you.
It's a nice green coat, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
jacket.
it's a nice jacket.
I think it was multiple.
I didn't know.
The talk is with the chocolate.
Yeah, there you go. Find out on that one for you.
I had a question on reference number 40846. On page 2. It's not a lot of money, but I mean, I'm not sure what that means. Drinks?
For Blue Mountain Foods.
Pro shop, that would have been, so the supplies for the pro shop, just to remain general functioning. Toilet paper is probably for the 24th or something, because it's part supply maintenance. That's what I do is sometimes I'll tell my employees for toilet paper, just go into the store and grab some toilet paper for the bathrooms.
And the drinks per Greg, what is that? Is that just
I
drinks
think
up or?
I don't know. Yeah, do you think that's for
Water or something.
It could have been that party we had, or did he get water for the work crew not too long ago?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So does when it says like per Greg or whatever, that just means that he authorized them to go pick up whatever that is?
I
Is
think
that how
he
that's
got
written?
it, because I don't think he would have told my crew to go get water or something. If he did, it may have been for the 24th, or was that when everyone was out on the light?
Probably.
I was just wondering, because I didn't see that anywhere else. Everywhere else it said like supplies or TP or.
Yeah.
No one brought us drinks.
We're gonna bring our own drinks.
So I think, in my mind, I think that'd just be, there's some kind of special working going on, and you just want to be probably nice and say, hey, I know you guys are working extra hard outside on that day, or something like that.
The flag banner.
Well, when we were putting up that fence, Greg ran to the store and got Powerades for the cover bigger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I had a general question just on the fuel.
What page is it?
This is page 3.
Okay.
Is there, I know that each vehicle has a card they swipe and a number goes in. So it rings up, is that right? Like over at Shell? Is there logs that are kept with that as far as I know when we had our cards, you could enter in the mileage if you did, or you could just hit a number. Is there actual logs that go with this that you match up the mileage and?
We don't keep our own logs, but when you punch in, if you're in a vehicle, we punch in the mileage. If you're not, because we have a couple of equipment cards too, like we go fill up a weed eater, a mower, and then we go.
Because I know with my crew, I mean, if they're gonna go fill up just gas for our, and then doing
Lawnmower
50/50 max or the lawnmower, because that's more than hours, and then you've got all the push motors. So that's hard to do miles.
And is there cards for that, or do you use a card?
I have one
vehicle
card for
to
all
do-
Parks and Rec,
Oh, do you? Oh, okay.
personally.
That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Any other questions on bills?
Why did we buy a postal digger when we have George and?
There's something for him to operate.
Something for me to lean
I
on.
thought that was a shovel. Just kidding.
I broke that handle.
And
They have 2 handles.
I did buy that. I did buy that before putting in this fence, but I also bought it because I knew we were going to be doing eventually fence work.
No, and it makes it easier to go. I was just kidding.
Just at the bottom of the bills page, so this is I've never seen this report in the Utah State Tax Commission, Division of Revenue Accounting, Sales and
Okay.
Tax Distribution. What is
So
this?
this is a separate document from the check register. This I just got in the mail a few days ago. It's just our TRT tax report. This is what the state sent me. I talked to Kelly about it. He's like, you know what, there's really nothing you can do with that. That's just a piece of information of where it's at. You see the breakdown.
So this is the state saying this is your TRT tax that came in.
I believe
from
so,
Settlement County.
yeah. And then there's I believe a separate process of actually taking it into the accounts.
So this is just so we know this is what came in
Yeah, it's
to Settlement County.
Yeah.
So they give us a percentage. Do you understand this? How this is worked out? It looks like a total point of sales. Is that what was done in the county itself, and then the statewide?
Yeah.
Is a percentage? We get a
It's
percentage.
pretty much a breakdown of how they got it, how they got all that money. So the top, if you see, point of sales, so it might be a hotel room, there's a certain percentage tax on
And
it.
that came out. Is that just city, or is that countywide?
I believe this is just for our city. That's getting
Okay.
for our city, but it says San Juan County. But for example, the city is going to get closer to that amount, I believe, because that's what we had on our economic development. That's from that. I will have to I'll talk to Kelly about that to find out more about the specific breakdown.
Okay. That was the part I just couldn't figure out, because, I mean, I wasn't sure if the whole total, like with your state, was 10 million, whatever, and then your county-wide was 37, and then they break that down, end up with 46 total paid. It didn't quite come, I wasn't, you know what I mean?
So-
Yeah, so forgetting.
I wasn't sure how that worked.
So the top is just everything that comes in. So they get there's certain base breakdown. The base on the population, you get a rate on top of that. And then underneath that, you got all the fees it takes to run it. And so it'll bring you back down to the 46,082.
Yeah, so it looks like what it's saying is the total point of sale in the county probably was 37. We receive, because of the population and the factory, we will receive 18.9 for that. And then we will receive a 27.7 based on the state, what was brought in from the state. So those two combined is going to be the 46. So we get some from the statewide and then some from the county. We get a percentage of that.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
It's just kind of a breakdown of where it's coming from.
Most of them.
And there's no action needs to be taken on. This is just a for your information.
So this is the money that comes out of, when they pass the thing to give cities back a portion. This bottom number is what will come back to the city. Is that what you're,
Something
okay.
like that, yeah.
Okay, for a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the bills as paid.
I'll second it.
Motion is made by Councilman Stephen Duke and seconded by Councilman Scott Frost to approve the bills as paid. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Okay, consider adoption 2014 water.
Did you miss me?
Yeah, public comment. I missed it. Totally skipped. Not that I didn't want it. We have a couple members of the public here. Any specific comment you can talk about? Don? Okay. All right. No debate. Sorry, I missed it. So, water conservation plan. Nate?
Yeah. You guys all get a chance to look at this in the packet, not really want to go over it. Basically, it's a updated conservation plan from a bill 2004. So requires any system over 500 connections to adopt a conservation plan. So this is kind of evolved over the years. This is the third update. Basically goes over some general information, general city water connection information. When we first started, we were at the point where we didn't have meters at all, no culinary meters. So if you want to, there's some interesting stuff about our water rights, water use, our per capita water use. We'll get to if you get to page 7 is where they kind of ask for your goals. And then conservation measures and goals. You can see our goal number 1 is to review current secondary use data and to establish new secondary water rates to promote water conservation. Another goal is to replace some older parts in the culinary system. We did a lot of that back in 2010, but there's still a few spots to do that. And another goal that we've been working on is to adopt more zero-scape amongst the city itself, and then maybe come up with programs that promote the citizens. Then it goes through and gives you some of the current conservation practices that we're doing, the airborne watering restrictions, the water use violation notices, and some zero-scape projects that we've done.
You're talking about landscaping, so when you say that, okay. Sorry.
Low water use plants or rocks.
Okay, cool.
You can see what Oliver did out here in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question quick? So when a new building comes in, or like the new elementary school, is there a way to estimate what their water cost would be prior to them putting in as much grass as they did? I mean, can you say, we think that this is how much it's going to cost?
Yeah, and we did that actually for them, but then they actually ended up putting more than they were anticipating, but we did that. Yeah, what you do, basically take the square footage of of the grass, and there's a region recommended watering schedule that wants you to put a half an inch each time you water on your lawn. And depending on the time of year is how often you should water, it's just kind of a standard. And so by, doing some math,
An estimate.
it is, that's similar, some of the stuff we did to estimate a fair rate when we did put in the rate structures for there.
So do we have incentive stuff on, like if a person wants to pull their lawn and put in their lawn?
We don't, and that's part of the goal is to come up with something like that.
Parks and beautification this summer, it's not really an incentive, it's more just an award. Every month this summer they did a xeriscape and landscape award. It's like a little conservation, we'll put the name in the paper and stuff. So, but it's not like a real
Incentive.
financial
Other than
incentive.
just not having to pay the water.
And a coupon to greenhouse. So,
Yeah, I'd like to develop some kind of a system. Then there's just some general water conservation and education, some outdoor water use tips, indoor tips. It gives our current rates, secondary rates, water rates. And there's some just best management practices.
Who wrote this up, you, Nate?
Yeah, well,
This is the favorite part, your favorite part of the job is coming up with stuff like that.
Oliver helped me with some grants and helped review it. Yeah. Actually, the original Greg Martin and I wrote it originally back in 2004.
Really?
It's work.
So what do you do with this?
We're just required to have
it
it.
every 5 years. No, it's actually good to look at it, kind of get you read books and see what you've done.
So how do we, I guess, how do we get the public to see it? I mean, there's some good stuff in there, but.
We'll post it on our website. It's not one that they require, like a consumer confidence report where you probably see those running newspaper for a while. It's not really that type of thing, but definitely on the website.
That's a good idea. People need to, I mean, it's one thing to talk about it, but if the public says, well, they're very proactive and they've got a distinct plan in place, I think it's a very good thing. You put a lot of work into it, you might as well have people have access to it, to the website or whatever.
Have you, just a question, have you looked at it like, I'm assuming Moab, I mean, there's a lot of landscape there that they just do rock or desert type stuff, and I know like Albuquerque and other places do it. Have you talked to any of them to see what kind of incentives they give, or if they do, or what any of that? Okay.
This is kind of a new, since you've seen some of the projects we've done around town.
Well, you come up with one, I'll be your guinea pig and tear my lawn out. So.
I know in Vegas, their incentive plan is you can water what you can afford.
Is that
That's
what
why
it is?
everybody has desert.
That's true. Yeah.
Now we just need a gravel pit, so I put gravel in it.
Be interesting to see if you could, like I asked you about how much grass there is. If you had a map and you said, okay, if the city just decreased this much grass, we're watering,
Save this much
it
water.
would save this much water over a year or whatever.
Or you can change the grass with the plant.
Yeah.
And I went to a class with the Weaver Basin Conservancy District, and they do a lot of stuff like that with they're one of the other ones that have installed secondary meters, and they actually send a personalized bill to each person that shows how much square footage they have. Gives them reports like that. They use this much, and you should only use this much, but you use this much.
Very good. Okay, so we just need to adopt it, right?
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2014 water operation plan.
By the time you make a motion, George, I thought you were asleep.
I'll wake up and join you. second it.
Okay, motion was made by Councilman George Rice and seconded by Councilman Scott Frost to adopt the 2014 Water Conservation Plan as presented. Councilman Scott Frost.
Aye.
Councilman Monty Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Steve Duke.
Aye.
Councilman George Rice.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. I'm just gonna pass this down. Everyone just needs to sign the bottom of it.
One thing I did forget to mention, I wanted to bring up this water conservation, just a shout out to the customers we do have. You see on page 6, there's on the top, you see where if you compare our total water use average is 186 gallons per day per person, per capita per day, which is basically how much each person uses per day. The state average is 260, and the national average is 184. So
Oh,
you can see, overall we do really well.
So our average is 125.
That's just Conine.
Oh, that's just fine.
You add them both, it's 186.
Huh, wow. That's good. Okay, thanks Nate for talking to us about that. Number 11, consider home occupation 345 Uranium Drive. So this is just moving the office, it looks like, Black Oil.
A lot of business going on there.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the 3.
Just basically a home office type.
Yeah.
It's gonna be just what he said was a fax line and a phone line and few filing cabinets. He's just gonna be taking some calls and doing some business from home still.
I'll make a motion for the home occupation license for 345 Uranium Drive as presented.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Councilman Stephen Duke and seconded by Councilman Monty Wells to approve the home occupation license for 345 Uranium Drive as presented. Councilman Monty Wells.
Aye.
Steve Duke. Councilman George Rice.
Aye.
Councilman Scott Frost. Aye. Motion passed unanimously.
Do we need to ratify that one?
Yeah, we probably should. But I wanted to go ahead and let him.
You want to put that on the agenda then?
Yeah.
Wait, because we just had a mistake and we can't put all discussions to that, so next time we have to just ratify.
Okay.
Okay, next item, recommend direction for dark sky code. I assume it's gonna be you, Oliver.
Yeah, so,
Give a little history on this first, yeah.
okay, so a while back, I came to city council and just thought it might be interesting to explore the idea of some kind of dark sky ordinance, and the same person just asked for home occupations here and thought it would be a good idea because it serves as a kind of a buffer to further down the road nonprofits come in and try and impose something that's too strict. And so the point of this is that the Plan and Zoning Commission has been working for the last 3 months on developing some kind of code, and they recommended that the city council give input on the direction. And so it's kind of like one of 3 things. Keep going that direction, adjust it, veer this way, or we're done with it. So this is not really probably the place here to discuss all the specific code, but that's more for planning and zoning. But this would be a good means to kind of give direction so that the commission knows what to do next.
Can you give us an overview?
Yeah, so the overview is, if you see on page 1, section 2, there's lighting zones. And basically, the way they divided it up was, you got the Forest Service land, which we wouldn't really have any jurisdiction over. Ag, government, except school. Then you have, that's one zone. Then you have R2, R1, and trailer park, that's the second zone. C1, C2, and industrial, that's a third zone. And then there's a high ambient lighting special use. And so it's just broken down to that, what kind of restrictions or anything. And so on the residential, it's basically directional. If you and the idea would be, if this code went through or something like that, it would be when you get new fixtures, whatever that's gonna be, you put on directional things. But it wouldn't be blanketed for right now, just whenever you do replace fixtures. So residential would just be kind of that. There's some even exceptions for that. And then
And they do list that there's certain looms. You can only have so much power per light. And
which one are you
like that.
specifically looking at?
Well, they break it down in these zones, but if you go through the document and start reading, they have different categories as far as how many looms you can have for different things, and 30%
So
of reduced light.
So exceptions to section 3C1. So is that what you're talking about?
Well, I'm just going general over most of them, like on section 3B.
Mhm.
You know, they talk about repairs to existing looms not to exceed 25% of the total installated luminaries.
Which
And then
page are you on? Sorry,
That's page 2.
page 2.
And then even on, there's one here, it says 30% or something.
This
Basically
would be
just
exemptions. This would be like, so there's certain restrictions, and these would be all the things you are totally exempt, so you can still do.
But there are restrictions on what you can use. And the amount of light.
lights and where they shine.
For commercial,
And for residential, because it's not supposed to leave your property and get on your neighbor's yard.
yeah, that is something. Yeah. So yeah, so the point of this is just kind of get the direction what the city council would like to have happen on that.
George, can I see the paper I handed you? I've got some stuff to read.
Yeah. I remember when we first started talking about this, you know, the intent definitely was to say, okay, let's get something as a city together that is, so that we can say we have a policy in place.
Right.
Basically, we have our own policy in place to guard us from someone with, you know, being forced upon us a more stringent policy,
Right.
which has happened in other places. And so the intent was, okay, let's get a policy in place that protects us. Saying we have a policy, but we didn't want anything very stringent. Just
Yeah.
correct.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Who imposes these? I guess I'm confused. Who would come and impose a light restriction on an entire town?
And who could?
Yeah. What? I don't even see. What? I guess what is the issue? What
So-
are we facing?
The issue side is that we have a lot of stars in the dark sky, and we don't have a lot of canopy to cover lights. And so if you get too big of a city or too many lights, it'll drown out your ability to see the lights, which is kind of the draw for this area when it started out. So that's the thinking behind it.
Well, okay, but who can come in and enforce an entire community to abide by some sort of light limiting policy or law or?
Right.
Well,
So what you do is just say if, let's say someone's trying to put in the biggest Walmart ever at Monticello. When they're coming for the building permit, you say, okay, in your building, you need to make sure you follow these codes.
I mean, is there like an overseeing agency that's going to come to Monticello and say you don't have a code in place, so we're going to make you do this more stringent? Because that's kind of what we talked about.
They put pressure in. There's the dark sky thing out of northern Arizona.
Flagstaff is one that triggered.
Yeah, they're a pretty big dark sky city.
And the other part of this that goes to international. It's called the International Dark Skies, whatever. So it's an international organization that's part of this whole Agenda 21 stuff. And so what happens with this kind of stuff, like we're seeing with the environmental stuff as well, you get these international organizations that come in and say, okay, across the board nationally or as a world, we're going to start protecting this, we're going to do this, and then the UN passes something that says, okay, we're going to support that, and that's how they come in and try to tell a city they can't do it. I mean, now we haven't seen a lot of that. We've seen with some of the gun issues and some of the land stuff so far. where they come in and try to do some of that. But reading through their website and doing some research on this, that's what I've come up with, and that's why I brought in some of this as far as their, you know, what their agenda is, what they're saying their, what's it called? When you do business, you put together a thing of what you're gonna do. You know what I'm talking about?
Mission statement.
Mission statement, yeah. So it just sort of outlines, and that's what I brought in, just sort of give you an idea. This comes, you know, when you look at their board of directors, it's Sierra Club, it's environmental stuff, so.
And this is the kind of thing we're trying to protect ourselves against as a city, right?
Right,
So
'cause
we're
if
gonna
you
have our
look at-
own policies so that hopefully that buffers us from something like this.
And so if you actually read all this code and then read that code, it's a fraction of the length and a fraction of the restrictions. The main thing is directional. And so what you could direct us is just say, hey, anything that's luminous, just take it out or just stop all of it, you know. But yeah.
Well, and the problem I have is we see the same argument is being made on the land issues. Let's do something before someone takes it away from us. And my question is why? I mean, we have the right to do whatever we need to do as a city or a county or whatever. If they come in and try to take it, so we're gonna give it to them first so that they're happy? I don't agree with that. I say if the citizens, and I know the comments that I've got from this, because I posted it earlier, just to see what people were gonna say about it. And the comments I get, no one wants it except for the environmental movement out of Moab, for the most part. But I don't think that's the way to handle it. I think the way to handle it is make the statement, we're a city, we're an entity, our people are citizens, they have a right to do whatever we, have lights on their house, whatever, and that's our stance. That's what we're gonna do. If you come in and try to change that, then you're gonna have a problem because we are a city entity, we are a government body. I don't know who can come in and tell us to do that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Do you ever have citizens complain about, so like you have a Maverick come in, you have a high school come in and put in the new parking lot and it's all illuminated? Do you have any citizens ever complain saying the lights are too bright or?
I don't think I've had hardly.
Across from our city shop.
I know we've had problems with the city shop.
So does it help to have a policy to work stuff with
The
those
shop did
situations?
something, they shielded it.
And we should help.
You did it because you just out of you're a good citizen or whatever, but there might be somebody that would say, back that, I like to illuminate my yard. I just didn't know if you got any complaints.
From an aviation standpoint, the FAA does have the authority to come in and tell you to remove lights if it's blinding to the pilot. And around an airport, that's a real concern, and I can tell you that flying over parking lots like Walmart, it is a blinding issue. And you wouldn't think that it would be that as an airplane being up above it, but it is a blinding issue. If you think about the Luxor down in Las Vegas, they have that big light that shoots up. It's a blinding issue for a pilot. When you're flying at nighttime, the retina contracts and you're doing everything you can to see into darkness. And so when all of a sudden you have these big bright lights, if they're not directionally controlled, then there is an issue. Conversely, if you're on the ground and you're trying to see the pretty skies up above, you don't want them pointing down. So it's kind of a who does what. But yes, the FAA does have the authority to tell you that you need to change your lights.
Well, they have the ability to do that. They don't really control it. I mean, that's an argument for another time, but.
Well, here that really would be an issue us with our airport so far out of town, won't it?
It won't be. A lot of it's going to depend on where those wind towers go up and what kind of traffic pattern we end up getting just to get into the airport. If you're trying to avoid those towers, the wind towers and stuff, just to get into the airport, we might find ourselves with planes flying over the town. But as it stands right now, there's nothing out here that would harm a pilot coming in.
If that was that big a problem, don't you think Las Vegas would have to turn off the lights when planes flying? I mean, we're not going to be at Las Vegas.
They redirect the lights.
except for the one pointing straight up and.
And that one is, the only time that they shoot that thing up is at certain hours in between flight lanes.
So if we ever get to the point where you have lights like Las Vegas, then maybe we need to.
Well, personally, I like to see the stars from where we're at. I don't have an issue with encouraging citizens to keep a dark sky so that we can enjoy the stars. I know that, I think we ought to find out, I know Flagstaff, there was an issue that if they would have had something in place, they would have been a lot better off than they are right now. I think what we've got written right here, in my opinion, is a little bit stricter than what I'd like to see. And the penalties, you know, I really don't like the penalties that they got listed here.
Yeah, and that's why we can be just go the general direction.
Well, I know talking to some of the people in Moab, a couple people, I know just a couple of people down there that have businesses, it's cost them more because they've had to change things, do different things.
And that's because when they put the policy in, they didn't make it, when you change your fixtures, they said this is a blanket, everyone must change.
But that would affect on, I mean, even if it didn't affect us that are here now, when new businesses come in, they would have to adhere to that new code.
Yeah, but it shouldn't cost too much difference. We've got an architect on the planning commission, and he's designs that stuff, and it really isn't too much of a difference. There might be a money saver for somebody if it's LED.
Well, I know Empire, when they replace streetlights here, they go to dark sky.
I think, personally, I agree with Sky. I think it just makes sense. If you have a light on, it needs to be shielded from the top. Number one, because nobody likes their neighbor shining a spotlight, shining lights in their windows. That's not okay. But I don't necessarily like the restrictions on lumens either. You know, I think, yeah, let's have everything directed down. I mean, there's always going to be light that goes onto someone else's property. That's fine, but we don't want to direct it in that direction. You know, it needs to be directed to your own property. So I think that's a good idea. Although, you know, and I think a lot of this has to do with canopy lights and stuff like that in, you know, if it's a gas station or something like that. Yeah, that stuff all needs to be directed down, not off the premises. That makes perfect sense. But I kind of agree with Scott that do we really need to talk about lumens here? I don't think so. I think maybe it just needs to be a directional issue. And as far as the penalties, I didn't even look at the penalties, honestly. So it's pretty stiff.
Well, I think it's overstepping. I don't think the government should be in the role of regulating what lights people have on their house. If my neighbor, and my house is well lit, as everybody knows, if my neighbors have a problem, they come and talk to me, and I change it. If that's a problem and the neighbor doesn't want to change it, we have a system for that. It's called civil court. I don't think it's the role of the government to enforce this kind of stuff. That's an issue between citizens and their property rights. And so I don't agree with it.
So what do the rest of you guys think as far as the direction for the planning and zoning commission? Is this something we want to keep pursuing, maybe work out, or you just want to abandon it?
I say abandon it.
How did the ballparks end up on that? Because that's a totally different direction.
Those are well,
And that yeah, I mean,
And how do you
written into
control
here.
that?
That's an exception. You just say, you know, for temporary things like Christmas lights and those kind of things, it doesn't apply.
Rodeo.
Yeah, canopy or so.
So the government will be able to do it, but the citizen won't.
We can do like Christmas lights, all those things.
or you think, Steve, is this something you think that?
But I know Anderson's behind me. They have
That's a lot of work.
they have a basketball court back there that they turn on their lights for people to come play at night.
Yeah, that's fine.
But this would, because it goes everywhere.
But it's a temporary use.
To me, I'm not too worried about having it. It seems like to me more of a put on hold thing rather than abandon it. I guess I don't really have a strong opinion either way.
And an option that can happen is you can come to plan and zoning and talk with them.
They have spent quite a few hours on this.
I think our time would be better spent trying to figure out how to get more businesses in this town than worrying about lighting myself.
But one of the attractions for bringing business in town is your night sky.
And the plan is over
Well-
bring businesses here.
I guarantee you, if you live in Vegas and you come here, you know the night sky. You know the difference.
Yeah,
And we
what
can,
kind of business, I mean, what kind of business can we capitalize that would bring business here then, that we should capitalize?
Anybody that lives in the city with lots of lights,
How much,
bunch of people.
how much money, well then why aren't we formulating a plan? Let's formulate, I guess what I'm saying is like, let's work on a plan to capitalize that and then bring tours. If we've got that, then let's, you know what I mean? Rather than figure out which way the light should be facing and exemptions and how.
the reality is, you can drive 1 minute out of town to the lake or up on the hill like I did last night and take pictures, and you can see the night sky. You can go anywhere but 191 and 491 and see a lot of stars, because those are well lit up because they're US highways. So I don't know what the problem is.
I do have to say in response to that, we are, economic development committee is doing exactly that. And that's a completely separate committee from planning and zoning, which is only focused on code.
I think what Scott's saying is it's something you put in the thing when you're trying to draw people here, that's where it works. Just saying, attract some people.
Yeah.
Environmentalists, and if that's what we want.
I'm not an environmentalist by any means, but I sure like the night sky.
Well, that's part of my family.
Well, and you
Comes
see the
along
night
with
sky.
it. Yeah.
But the reality is, we spent thousands of years developing lights, getting to the point that man can see at night. And now we're gonna take it away?
No,
Because we
we're
want
gonna
to
keep
see
it
the
from
night
shooting
sky
up.
in the city?
It's not designed, I don't think we want a code that limits us from lighting up what we need to have lit up. But there's a difference between that and destroying the night sky.
I would almost propose, like Scott said, I wouldn't necessarily say abandon it, but like Scott said about Flagstaff, maybe we educate ourselves a little bit about what they've learned through that process.
There was a reason we might need to go revisit some of those reasonings behind it.
Because it seems like an awful lot of work for me to say, but maybe let's learn a little bit more about that, and then after we've figured it out, we can make another, that would be my proposal.
And I think it's a little, in my opinion, it's a little strict.
Oh, whatever council recommends.
Well, I think, and someone I think would have to make a motion, because I think we're, yeah.
Well, I'd make a motion that we table it and maybe under further review, if we could get some other information on a city like Flagstaff, if the committee wanted to go and present a little more information on it about maybe some of the pitfalls that we would be facing. But
Either way,
yeah,
we had one or we didn't have one.
yeah, but to table it for them to.
Yeah, I see that too. There's been a lot of work, I think, put into it too. And then worst case scenario, we refuse it later on.
It was on our agenda, publicly noticed for 3 months. Nobody came.
So say that again.
I didn't even know what was opposed to.
I'm not so much concerned about like citizens. I'm more. I'd like to see more information of like maybe a Flagstaff. What
Reasons to pass the dark sky ordinance? Is that-
Yeah, or a reason to pass or not to pass.
Pros and cons.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So what is the direction I'm giving? So,
I'll second
it. More research. That's the direction, I
it.
guess.
Bring back pros and cons and
Let us know why this is important or why this could hamper us,
okay. To the city council.
Let's table it for, let's give them, until first of the year.
Had some Japanese students.
Yeah.
They walked down my front lawn and we just like muttering all kinds of Japanese words. This guy could not believe it.
a lot of people don't know their stars.
That's true. Pretty cool.
I ran a boys ranch.
Okay, so let's do we need to, all in favor of tabling this? Should we just say till maybe second meeting in January?
This is the verbiage I have here, to recommend postponing the action and allow the planning commission to bring pros and cons concerning the dark sky code as presented.
Sounds good. Can we do roll call or can we just do all in favor?
Roll call.
Councilman George.
Aye.
Scott Foss.
Aye.
Steve Duke. Aye. Councilman Monticello.
Nay.
Just a quick
Ayes
question.
have it.
Oh, good. How much controversy did you have among the people in the planning commission?
The controversy wasn't on whether or not there should be something as much as how
How strict it
detailed
should
and
be.
strict. Yeah. That's what was pretty much the 3 months is basically we had to take and narrow down so much and say, how do we still protect ourselves kind of thing without becoming too strict and stuff.
I remember, and I haven't been in a couple of those meetings, but I remember the ones I were on, he brought codes from other cities that had them, and they're kind of stripping them down, basically, to get some of those more appropriate for us. Okay, so, consider fire truck purchasing agreement, adjustments.
So we're not going to do that information that was going to be given to me, has some digging, so.
Okay, so we're gonna skip that one. Then. Okay, number 14, ratify airplane fuel purchase, and I think we all received emails on this, we emailed back, this is just coming out of budget for the purchase that we make every year, when we've already budgeted for that. So we just need to do a roll on
And
this.
just real quick, so I actually ordered a little bit less than 400 gallons.
Okay.
So does the cost of that fuel go up and down just like our fuel at the gas stations?
This is why we buy it now.
Yeah, and there's a
So
breakdown of
reasonable.
every tax. And we bought it right now because we were completely empty. Like, a pilot tried to fuel up and we couldn't.
So how are we on the other fuels?
Other fuel's good as far as foot, and then if you see on that, there's plans for future prevention. And then we'll just have check gauge on register second and fourth week every month. I'll just record on the jet fuel in the low lead what foot and inch we're at. And then you can calculate how many gallons we're at.
Oh, okay, good.
So that's my strategy for preventing this in the future.
Because we had no idea it was empty pretty much.
Yeah.
So, pilot, how are we up there?
Aviation fuel has to be checked every single day for water. If you
Oh,
don't
yes.
have that in place and you're not doing that, you stand a huge liability in case there is ever an accident and they can point it back to you. You're liable for that accident. So you need to actually dig into those FAA rules and find out what that code requires you to do. And it is a daily check. And this is something that once you get your airport manager, but that would be part of his position.
Yeah, I guess you have more in the airport than because this is my first experience with airport.
How do you do that?
It's just a sample test that you
Right.
take, and you just take them and put them in little canning jars or whatever
Oh,
it is.
so,
It's just a clean bottle, and you actually have to store that for a period of time. It's not, you can't just look at it and go, yeah, it's good, and dump it out. You have to store it for a period of time until that you're sure that there's not an accident that would lead back to your fuel.
We're, currently not doing that right now.
Yes, we are.
That's something we need to work on, okay?
The fuller your tank, the less compensation.
How big of a tank is that?
It's 10,000, 5 for each.
Okay, so we just need a motion on this. Ratify purchase, which you've already approved by email.
I'll make a motion to ratify the purchase of airplane fuel for $12,372.
Seconded.
Okay, motion was made by Councilman Steve Duke, seconded by Councilman Scott Frost to ratify the purchase of airplane fuel for $12,372. Councilman Scott Frost Councilman George Rice? Aye. Councilman Scott Frost?
Aye.
Councilman Rick Clark? He's not here. Councilman Monty Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Stephen Duke? Motion passed unanimously. Okay. Number 15, consider city manager position. Number 9. Okay, so I think there's a ladder here at the back.
I don't want that.
What's that?
I don't.
All right.
So that one's out of the.
So the last page, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read the letter.
Is this one here? Oh, yeah.
So, see, what are our options to do here? I mean, we can rather do it what the letter says, or we can put it out to hire, right? Or we could appoint someone as a temporary and put it out to hire. What options do we have, just so we know?
We have a couple different options. You can hire within, open up another position. You can put an interim city manager in for a time, or you can just open it up to hire right now, to applications, just depending on what you feel is best.
So what you've got here, what you gave us, this has been talked, I'm assuming with everybody pretty much at the, up
Yeah.
the city.
We've had a couple meetings with the whole staff. The second meeting we had that's what resulted in that meeting. We've since had other discussion about just having an interim for a while and trying that out. So I have reservations. I have a few reservations with that, just because I'm a little bit worried about the rec department and who's going to cover that. I'm a little bit worried about.
If we just did an interim, then what do we do about rec? We have to hire someone anyway because we can't really cover.
As Nate said today, it is a slow season, so maybe it won't be too bad, but
Well, we're going into November, and time flies really fast.
time flies fast. That's my worry.
Now we have junior, what is it, basketball coming up, starting.
Well, starting November, if he hasn't October.
And then
So,
boys is January.
Yeah.
Normally, in a situation of hiring somebody, would have an opportunity to interview.
Mhm.
Are we okay to have a closed session and chat with Oliver? Or is that?
Absolutely.
I want to just kind of say what we've talked about, also just to elaborate on what Cindy said. From maybe even my own personal opinion, I would hate for us to jump, not only for our case, but for Oliver's case, without doing an interim, without doing a couple months. It is going into the slow time. We've got junior jazz, we've got staff that are capable of taking on additional to help get things done over probably the 2 slowest months of the year, really, even January, and then you revisit it in January and see what we want to do. We, as a staff, we've met several times about picking up an extra duty here. Maybe we don't need to do an assistant city manager and rec director, and we just do a rec director. And we can shuffle some money so we can get a good rec director again. That's my opinion. I think a couple of other staff have the same opinion that, we can get through a couple months. And, I think Oliver's, great person. I just think maybe this is jumping into something.
And that's kind of my thought
It's all
too.
over
Is
the time to get his feet wet.
it's kind of my thought too. I mean, I hate to throw him into the position. I'm not really aware of what it's entailing now. I almost think we're better off to say, okay, you enter for a couple months, we're going to look at it, middle of January, end of January, whatever, and We decide at that point whether we think you're capable, you think you're capable, or if we want to put it
I mean, if we could have somebody hired by the first couple weeks of February, in the January, February, that's when it's going to start. Start getting ready for baseball, start getting ready for screening parks and stuff.
Now, this is talking about, was like, all we're doing interim for is city manager, and then, if that worked out, then doing, that's what you're saying, by February, then have the, rec person.
That rec
Okay.
person.
If we decided we wanted to stay
It
with
could
that.
evolve to different things, you know, we may decide, I don't know, I'm thinking.
Well, there's another scenario, just thinking out loud, say he does it for a couple of months and it's not a good fit for him. Then we're in a position where we need to advertise for someone else, and that's gonna take a little bit of time to get them. So it's almost like we have to let him try this, but we also gotta advertise. It's almost like we gotta advertise for other applicants at the same time, right? Or we're gonna be another 2 months, or I'm just
Possibly.
thinking.
I mean, just knowing Oliver and his work ethic, like, you know, I see that as a slim, that
Right.
other than, you know, it's just, he decided it's not the right fit for him. But that is something you have to look at. Then you say you decide that the 1st of January, which is a couple weeks to advertise. You know, then we hire him or somebody else by the 1st. And then we could still, theoretically, that could put us back to the end of February before we do
And I'm talking to Oliver, my understanding, I mean, this is something he's been trained for. I mean, his education level and everything, and this is what his career path he wants to go, right? So that's your understanding too?
I think as far as education goes, I think he's qualified. I think he's very qualified as far as personality and drive. I am concerned that he's only a year out of college, 2 years out, probably not very long. I mean, he's still pretty green, you know, and really most of the experience with us, he hasn't really been like on the management side at all. It's all been Parks and Rec, unfortunately. And so I do have concerns with that. My concern isn't that he's not capable, because I think he's very, very smart and very easy to get along with, and he's a good motivator and a good leader. He's shown to be that. I do worry that, this really, you know, this is going to be a big change for him. Unfortunately, you know, prior city manager, when Kelly was here, you know, he let Greg do a lot of things as far as the finance stuff, and he let Greg do more of the assistant type. So I don't think that's really happened. Oliver's been pushed more just to rec stuff, and then so I do have concerns, but I do think he's very, very able. I don't know what you guys want to do. If you want to just say he's the one, I would feel more comfortable saying interim. Maybe put him in as interim now. We can interview. Maybe we can set up interviews for middle of November. Interview with him, see how he's doing, and then.
I think before we make him interim or anything, we got to get him in here and talk to him.
We're not tied to January 1st either. You may come December 1st. This is
Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
We want to do a separate meeting.
Bring him in and chat with him.
I mean, we could do like a closed session, but I don't know that we really need to. We can talk with him.
I think we need to do a closed session, express our concerns, and get his.
Well, we couldn't do a closed session now, right? We'd have to notice
Yeah,
that.
we'd have to set up for another time.
And why would the concerns need to be, it's just a question, why would that have to be in a closed session?
If I'm going to tell you your faults, I'm not sure.
You know what I mean?
We never had a closed session, you know?
Yeah. Most people want to keep those. But yeah, exactly. We want to discuss some, and that's how we always discuss.
I was hoping they would be
employee issues, employee performance. We don't want that being out in the community, so we always do that in the closed session, which I think I do think it would be something we would speak frankly and honestly with him.
And him to us, you know, he should be able to know that he can say, hey, I don't like somebody. And this is why I'm gonna have trouble with him.
Okay, yeah, I just wondered.
I think that's a good idea, and then at that point, I mean, do we have to do something as far as setting up an interim or anything right now? We can keep going for a couple weeks.
Well, I would like to see at least making an interim for now, because
He
he's
needs
working
some
his
pay.
butt off. He needs some
Yeah.
compensation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it would be an issue leaving where he's at and compensating for what he's doing. Is it, or we want to?
You can use that same pay I suggested in there if you want, if you're comfortable with that.
As long as he's in that responsibility,
Well, the other thing too, I don't want to see him doing, working extra hours beyond what is, without being compensated, if he's doing something above and beyond whatever.
He shouldn't have been here yesterday at all because of his whole day Saturday that he did with the Harvest Festival, and he was here all day. He told his wife, I'm not gonna have to work today. She sat home and waited for him all day because, there's just too much.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you need some workaholic counseling and.
Well, when you're short one person, there's nothing you can do except be workaholics. I mean, we gotta get it done.
We've talked a lot about that too, and about how he overworked in his previous position, and then you don't get a chance to take some time. He's
I didn't see something in here on the pay that you mentioned.
It's in the motion language, I think.
Oh.
that's right. That is-
So, I mean, I almost wonder if, I mean, in my opinion, an interim position is a temporary position until we figure out what's going on. So I almost think, yeah, we could say he's interim, because really he's gonna be doing that stuff until we figure out whether we want him or somebody else. And then, so personally, I would say tonight, my opinion would be, let's put him as interim, and then we could schedule a closed session where we can interview him and then say, okay, at least then we can get a feel. But I mean, either way, he's going to be doing those duties, whether we put him in as interim or not. So we might as well just do it, in my opinion. And then, but I still like Scott's idea, let's have a closed session. Let's talk to him frankly. And then after that, we can decide what to do. Whether we just want to extend the interim position for him for another 2 months, or whether we want to hire him full on. That's kind of what I think. I mean, I hate just to say, oh, just keep doing what you're doing right now, you know what I mean?
How much time do we need between like now and?
24 hours.
24?
And I'm not, we don't necessarily have to be in a hurry to do that. Maybe we want to give him a couple of weeks. And then the next city council meeting, we can meet with him. He'll have a better idea in his own head.
Yeah.
What the job entails.
Well, like you say, just by definition, the term interim is a temporary.
Yeah.
So if we made a motion to do that, I mean, that's
temporary, and we
but
could
then we still
end that in 2 weeks.
but then we still compensate him for the extra work that he's gonna have to do, even between now and the next 2 weeks.
That's my opinion, but I like Scott's idea there. I think let's not have a closed session tomorrow or the next day. Let's give him 2 weeks of doing this job, and then I think we could have a more frank discussion with him, because he'll have a little under his belt and where he sits on it. I like that idea.
So why don't we do that interim and then first city council in November?
Is that a motion?
Yes. I make a motion that we put Oliver Crane in as interim city manager with the compensation that's listed. Do I need to spell that out, or?
Do we need to mention the treasurer on that?
We need to mention the pay, and we will not do anything with the treasurer until we actually appoint the new treasurer.
Okay.
That's an appointed position.
Okay, so we just do this for now.
Mhm.
And that we bring him in for a interview.
So are you okay with that pay that's there? We probably need to have that in the motion.
Is what the stand, I don't know what your pay schedule is that the normal stuff?
That's what
or-
we've done in the past.
Okay,
It's starting.
Well, the 600 per month is what we've done in the past for the interim city managers. And then that starting pay it was Greg's starting pay, so. It just gives you.
So, I'm sorry, so the interim would be $600 per month on top of what he gets now?
Yeah.
Or $600 per month on top of the city
On
manager?
top of what he gets now.
Okay, I think that's fair.
I'll second the motion.
Motion to do interim with the $600 per month compensation. Okay, so the motion was made by Councilman Scott Frost, seconded by Councilman George Rice to appoint Oliver Crane as interim city manager. Beginning immediately, interim should also be given $600 per month compensation. Any further discussion on this?
And call for,
And then call for a closed session, first meeting in November.
and in the closed session, is it, can we have like some employees too? That we can ask them questions like.
you
how
can
their
invite
opinions are?
anybody you want to that closed session.
I think that'd be.
Just, I'd like to know what, if it's a closed session where people can talk freely, I'd just like to know what some of their opinions are on things.
So bring them in one at a time and then boot them out and the next one comes in basically.
That's what I was thinking, that would be.
Maybe we don't need all the employees, but it'd be a good idea to have,
Okay.
part of the chief department heads, yeah, I think so.
So again, the purpose of that closed session is to see how he's feeling with that, rather than wait until January to.
Yeah, so,
I think we need to get an idea from him, what he thinks about this whole thing.
yeah, what his
More than-
limitations are, what his qualifications are, what his concerns are.
And I guess, and he should know from us what our concerns are so that he knows what he needs to be working on between now and January. Or I just think we need to have a
Just get everything out on the table.
straightforward conversation. This is our concern. What are your concerns?
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman George Rice. Aye. Councilman Scott Frost.
Aye.
Councilman Monty Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Steve Duke. Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Okay, governing body, administration, communication, it's all like you're still here. You left? Okay. I don't know, did anyone else here attend a Harvest Festival Saturday? You did? Amazing, right?
Yes.
It was such a good event. Really good.
It's the second year and it's better this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting better every
Leaps
year.
and bounds
Yeah.
better. It was organized so well. I mean, I was blown away how many people were there. How many adults were dressed up? Kids everywhere.
He
It
should
was
not
great.
be on a deer hunter.
Yeah, that was the hard part. Yeah, deer hunting weekend is good. I like that it wasn't the same day as Halloween. I thought that was important. I mean, kids get excited. And parents put a lot of effort into those costumes to only get to wear them for one night with their coat on. It's not so great, but I thought it was great. My kids were so excited. And I had a great time there. So everyone, if you see Oliver, tell him thank you. And it was joint with PTA, then joint with PTA. So we see those PTA.
And the chamber.
The chamber. Sorry, Bailey, and the chamber. I forgot about that. I didn't actually. But great job, really. It was fantastic. I had so much fun. I honestly, when I got asked to go, I was not happy about it. I was just gonna send my wife and my kids and be happy, and I had a really good time. So it was fun.
We're gonna have a giant pumpkin contest next year. We're gonna.
Pumpkin chucking contest.
We are going to, one of the local businesses in town is gonna offer some prize for the giant pumpkin.
The biggest pumpkin grown.
Grown, yeah.
Wait.
They're doing like 1,200 pounds up north.
Really?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a contest with the prize, and maybe we'll go shoot pumpkins.
That'd be good.
Oh no, I've been practicing. I've been practicing.
Tannerite.
Right?
Antenna pumpkin.
Any other administrative communication? That's the only thing I had, was just to say thanks for all that work.
No.
It was a lot of work.
Well, maybe I could jump ahead. The only thing I was gonna say, I had on my notes, from that audit.
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I don't know, my weak mind, I'll forget things. I was just wondering if we can schedule down the road sometime, future meetings, make some timeline to where we can just have someone revisit those areas of concern and just see where we're at. I need to understand it better and
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to put it on, you want to do it on the next agenda, or you want to do it 2 agendas from now?
what's realistic to have some of those things. I don't know.
Well, right now, the workload is not very realistic.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty intense. And, I'm having a hard time getting things done. Oliver's having a hard time getting things done. And Wanda's running. But, I would say if we held off till December,
Okay.
we could kind of get some of this emergency stuff taken care of and be in a good place to work on that.
Why don't we hold off till January?
Yeah, I was
That'll give us plenty of time.
I
Let's put it on first city council of January. We can just kind of go over the issues that he brought to us and just see what progress we've made on them and what we need to tackle still. Make sure those are all signed out. That's it.
I think that's plenty of it, January, plenty of it.
Is that when we start the budget stuff, or when do we do that?
Sweet.
Spring?
Yeah, March. March, when we start talking about it.
Yeah. I think probably when they do.
I think we're bringing that up, Steve. I was gonna mention that. Anything else?
If we get another, is there any way to get some of those financials earlier? Like the packet we got this time,
Oh,
just to go through them, I ran out of time, and I don't know, maybe I spent too much time on it, I don't know.
Well,
Does it come out, last Wednesday or Thursday?
Friday.
Was it
That's
Friday?
usually when I send the packet out.
They're usually not 87 pages, so that
Yeah.
should be less next time. I'm just wondering,
Be the same,
or
I
will
mean,
it-
it'd be the same
It's
financial statement.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same report. You're just, that some of the numbers will change, but.
basically, the only thing that'll be changed is just the bills, right, and the rest of it
Mhm.
will be the same.
You can request it at any time. I'm not gonna make a promise to send it out special. My packet load is a difficult one anyway, so.
Well, now, when you print that report, you print it at the same time? I mean, what's your cutoff for that report? This information was information up to Thursday night,
Wednesday,
Wednesday?
yeah,
So if you do it earlier, then just move back the
yeah,
information?
yeah, it just doesn't work. If we want a current report.
I'm just thinking, I mean, for me, I just gotta spend some time going through it, to understand what I'm actually looking at.
Right.
And so I
Just-
guess it
Well,
doesn't really need to be
and-
something coming in here.
Yeah, it's nothing you're passing during this meeting, that's something in your packet to review at your leisure, you know?
The financial statement section, you know.
It'll be the same format and everything, it's just,
The auditors just want us to put it in there for you to review, and so there's no time frame on that review.
So would it be, you're saying the workload, if I was to come in and just have somebody sit down with me, show me the different, like the little different PTIFs and all this kind of stuff, just to get a feel, that would be better in December, would that be better
Yeah,
then?
don't come in the next few weeks, or
Okay,
we won't be able to probably really.
Yeah, and that's something we can have, that's something we probably ought to have, as a new councilman, we ought to probably have Oliver sit down with you and spend a couple hours. I know when I became councilman, Kelly spent a couple hours with me just going over that, you know, these are the PTS, this is what the general fund is, this is what it's used to pay for. This is what the enterprise funds are, this is where the money comes into those, this is what they use to pay for, because I had no idea about that. So that's something I think we probably ought to have. You probably ought to spend a couple hours with Oliver on, so maybe in December sometime, just call him and say, hey, can we meet sometime and spend a couple hours just discussing what these things mean?
okay.
Because it is very helpful, and it's something you need to know, because when we go into the budgeting and stuff, you have to have, none of us have a full understanding of it, you know, deal with that
you wanna
every
do a
day.
work meeting sometime, like in December? I mean, it's information that we
we could all use and
That
We
can
can do
matter
that.
to me.
Maybe
even if you've been in a while, it's confusing.
just kind of, maybe Oliver could just give us a summary of, okay, these are the funds, this is what they're for, this is where the money comes from, that type of a thing.
Yeah, and just how the books work, so that if you were to look at something, you could understand.
Okay. Maybe let's talk, I think that's a good idea, just send out a work meeting. Maybe let's, next city council meeting when Oliver's here, let's talk to him about it and see when he thinks that would be a good time to do it.
Okay.
That,
Oh, yeah.
I think, because I think that would be a good idea. And then we can, maybe by then he'll know, okay, I should be caught up with people to do such.
Detailed.
All right.
Okay, anything else? All right, we'll make a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
We are, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone
Everyone signing
I know.
up.
Thanks, Nate.
We're just kind of